thank you very much. Now I'd like to invite up our final speaker for the program today, the official program of the day, Thomas Davies, who's an organizer and executive committee member with Vancouver Communities in Solidarity with Cuba, and he recently returned from Cuba at an important colloquium, an important conference about the Cuban Five. So if everybody could give him a warm welcome.
All right, everybody, come in a bit closer. Closer. I know I have amplified sound, but it feels better if we're closer together and it's warmer as well. When I was talking to Juice, I said, maybe just do 2 songs, it's getting cold. He said, can I have 3? And I said, if you can pull it off, you can do 3, and I think he did an awesome job. It's really incredible to see the different ways that people take the case of the Cuban Five and make it their own. And Juice is a very good example of that. Another way is, I wasn't interested in Twitter when it came out. I thought it was pretty silly, but if you go over to the computer there after the rally, not while I'm speaking, you can see all the tweets that we're sending about this rally right now that people around the world are seeing. That everybody around the world can see what we're doing right now. It's interesting, from every single continent in the world can see what we're doing in Vancouver right now, which is really special. So I'll be quiet because it's getting dark and we've still got some petitioning to do. But I just wanted to say Nestor and I went, Nestor's standing right there being very quiet. But Nestor and I went last month to the International Colloquium for the Cuban Five in Holguin, Cuba. There was over 400 people there from over 40 different countries, all from different committees working for the case of the Cuban Five. And it was amazing to see the kind of work that's going on around the world. I think sometimes when we don't get a sense of how big the campaign is, the fact that the Cuban Five are the most well-known political prisoners in the world right now. And that's because of work that we're doing here in Vancouver, people are doing around the world. And we'd be there and we'd be in conversations and there'd be literally 4 or 5 different languages in the conversation because people from all different countries were talking at the same time, trying to figure out a way to move the case forward. One of the ways we're moving the case forward this year is we're going to Washington, D.C. again for the 5 days in the Cuban Five in May. People from around the world are going to descend on Washington, D.C., descend on the capital of the United States, demanding freedom for the Cuban Five. That happened last year. It was really successful. It got a whole bunch of media coverage. It also broke a lot of the media silence about the case. And we're going to do it again this year, even bigger, even more coordinated. There's going to be more people from different countries. There's going to be more media coverage, more activities, and you can be sure that from Vancouver we're going to be a part of it here as well. What I also wanted to say is that Nestor and I got kind of lucky because we were the 2 that got to go to, we're in Cuba obviously, but also the amount of respect that different groups around the world have for what's going on in Vancouver is huge, because no other group in the world has been able to do a picket every month for the past over 80 months. No other group in the world has been able to do that. They're starting to do it now. They've taken the example, and the 5 days for the Cuban Five is really taking off. But they look to us as leadership. And so I think you should know we still got a lot of work to do, but the work we're doing right now is very important. And the case of the Cuban Five is at a really crucial point. 2013 is a huge year for the Cuban Five. So like Alicia said, we're the first rally in the world for the Cuban Five in 2013, and we're going to continue doing those rallies. We're going to make sure that more places are doing them, and we're going to free the Cuban Five. So thank you very much, everybody, and let's do a little bit of chanting, warm it up, then go down and talk to some more people about the case of the Cuban Five. So, free the Cuban Five now!
Free the Cuban Five now!
Justice for the Five now!
Justice for the Five now!
Free the Cuban Five now!
Free the Cuban Five now!
Justice for the Five now!
Justice for the Five now!
Thank you very much.
The program helped to get petition signatures for the Cuban Five. And we will be continuing to get those petition signatures, postcards signed, encouraging people to do the Twitter for the Cuban Five, as is been on the computer the whole time, taking pictures and going tweeting them so the world can see. And so thank you everybody for coming out. And like Thomas said, we will continue to protest every single month until the Cuban Five are with their families safe and with their loved ones in Cuba. Now, before we all spread apart and get back to our collecting signatures, I'd like to ask everybody to come here, gather around the banner here, so we can take a really good photo of the group so that we can send that around the world. and Thomas is going to take the photo. But if everybody else could gather in here, that would be great.
You can even stand in front of the banner. Okay, but yeah, just like you like to keep your sign for the minute.